Good day, everybody. Rob Mazak here. I am a psychic medium. And those of you that have listened to my podcast before, and those that are new to the channel, I like to talk about a lot of different things and all kinds of topics, mostly metaphysical and spiritual, but I also mix in some other topics. And tonight it is something a little bit different. I got behind the mic earlier, and after sitting here for a while and just contemplating the way the world's going and the way things are evolving in our reality right now, I decided to just close my eyes, get behind the mic, and just allow my intuition to speak. And I wanted to go ahead and share that with you, and we're going to do that right now. This is an intuitive channeling session with Rob Mazak. We live in a time of great change, of great turmoil, of great opportunities, in a time where our population has become weak and sensitive and without backbone, without any desire to improve, to blame others, to seek ways to numb our feelings. We live in a time where we can achieve more than anything that's ever been done in this life. Yet we squander our opportunities because we pay attention to the social media, the news, all which is orchestrated by a handful of people that manage this planet, this reality, and create and design the perception that we all hold, or the perceptions we all hold. Our perceptions are really no longer ours because we have not paid attention to our thoughts, to our programming, to our desires, to our goals, where we would like to go, what we would like to do. We live in a time where absolutely anything is possible. Information is so vast and so massive that even college degrees mean nothing anymore other than paying for your own slavery to debt. We live in a society where everything that we want we can get because we live in a credit-based system which allows us, everyone, to own or achieve or gain worldly possessions without any real effort, except on the other side of that purchase is a lifetime of servitude to our master of debt. Debt has become the norm that is measured in every aspect of our life, from insurance to loans to everything we purchase. Our credit score is our measure of our life, of how we are as a human being. It is our measure of a relationship with debt. We are slaves to the system that we can never really escape from. No longer is it possible, or very limited possibilities, for us to ever escape this debt design system. Cash is slowly being phased out. The digital money, the digital dollar, the digital everything has become the norm. Money is something that simply does not exist other than in a computer. Yet it enslaves us all. It drives us to work our fingers to the bones to just survive because we have created such debt, such a monstrosity of slavery. Slavery has been expanded to include everyone. Everyone on this planet is enslaved to money, the system of money that today is simply generated from nothing. Typing in the keys on a computer, you have money, which really does not exist. Money which is created out of thin air and paid back with interest on something that does not exist. And we all have fallen for the agenda. We can no longer escape it. Very, very few people have found a way to step outside of this norm and live off the land and live off themselves and self-sustain. Yet the governmental machine really does not want that, and it will find ways to destroy that. It will find ways to destroy gardens and self-sustainability. Politics has been running our lives. The governments that were founded across the planet had a very simple design, and it was not meant to be this monumental, law-ridden system that we now fall into, where everything is absolutely litigated in our life. Yes, we think we're free. Are we free? We may be free to choose our toothpaste or what job we have or what car we would like to buy. However, step outside of those countless laws that are out there, and you will soon find out how free you are not. We are not free anymore to speak our mind because we are censored to the T's. We are being squashed and squeezed down to a very minute human being. Us as human beings are slowly being destroyed. Our creativity has been pushed into survivability. We no longer have the energy and the time to actually be creative, be intuitive, connect with ourselves across all the invisible planes that do exist in many names and many shapes and many forms. Yet we are so laden with media and troubles and wars and politics that we can no longer pay attention to ourselves without finding ourselves living on the street. More and more people have come to the point where they can no longer survive, and they end up living on the street. Our streets are full of homeless people that can no longer even beg for money because without cash, without the huge flow of cash that we used to have, it is very difficult for someone on the corner to even gain any advantage or gain any money, because as most of us realize, we are not going to hand our credit card to someone on the street and let them charge it. That's just simply not going to happen. We are pushing people out of their homes. We are pushing people to the limits of extremism that drive people to suicide, to drugs, to alcohol, to anything to numb your soul. We have one of the biggest drug and alcohol problems that has probably ever been recorded. Is such an extreme problem that there's agencies upon agencies upon agencies that claim that they are trying to control it, yet they probably feed the system. Drugs and alcohol are a business, and without that business, there'll be less people with jobs and companies and organizations and businesses. We are probably the sickest society on record in any human history. We have become so physically and mentally sick that it is almost unimaginable. Our food supply is tainted with drugs and chemicals and lies and all kinds of things that are designed to keep us ill, to push us into the medical system, to create wealth and jobs and drive the machines of cancer and disease and chronic illness. That is just a perpetual system that seems to never end. We medicate our people instead of fixing the problems, going to the root of the issues and fixing the root of the problem. We cover them up with medications which only treat symptoms, which cause more symptoms, which creates another cascade of medications. It is not a time of health. It is not a time of wealth. In this country of the United States, you either need to be happy being poor or become very wealthy. The middle class is slowly, over time, being destroyed. The highest tax brackets sit within the middle class. It is more advantageous to be without money or with large sums of money than it is to be in a middle income bracket. They are trying to create a very vast difference between the populace to make the wealthy and the elite even more powerful, because there will be no middle class to buffer that gap between the wealthy and the poor. It will come down to a very similar situation we've seen in movies like the Hunger Games, where there's a society of a very, very small percentage of wealthy and elite that live off the efforts of the absolutely poor and disadvantaged population. Our population is sitting at 8 billion people, yet every day we hear from our leaders in many ways, shapes, or form that the population need to be decreased to less than 500,000. So what is going to happen with the other 7.5 billion people? Well, there are many plans and schemes afoot. There are many pandemics. There are many ideas of ways to destroy many human lives, wars, diseases, created pandemics, all kinds of efforts and ways to destroy humanity. And in a way, yes, population should be controlled, but at what expense? What we should do is create a system on this planet, this reality, that caters to the wellness and the health of every human being. The wealth across this planet is vastly controlled by a few people compared to the population. And if some of that was equally shared or partially shared, people would not be hungry. People would not be living on the street. Yes, some of this comes down to the mentality of each person, because some people given a lot of money would just end up back on the street. I understand that dilemma, yet we should give people opportunities, because the times that are coming are very, very disturbing. We now have a new president-elect, which in many cases seems like a really good idea, a really good candidate. Yet we all know, everyone knows, that there's going to be sweeping and vast changes across this United States with this president, and I'm sure it would have been with any other president or the other nominee or candidate would have done the same. We are on the verge of 2025 with very large changes coming. Military and civilian are going to be mixed. The military is being used and underutilized and overutilized and utilized to the extreme, where it would not be a surprise for a draft to return, for all hands on deck to join the military, to become part of the military and become that policing force, one which is not supposed to be. We have also become a very, very soft society. As we know, hard times create strong men. Strong men create soft societies. It all cycles. We are in the cycle of the soft society, where many of our population, or much of our population, is now very weak and very unmotivated to succeed or to become or to do anything above more than accept assistance from our governments and rely on our governments and not do the work and support themselves and drive themselves into something that they can be proud of, everyone can be proud of. We no longer live in a time where it is safe. There are guns on every street, on every hip. There are drugs on every corner. There's alcohol everywhere. Have you ever noticed, even during the COVID pandemic, that there was never a shortage of alcohol? It is a class 4 substance, or narcotic rather, and it is destroying this population. But, however, it is probably being allowed to destroy humanity by design, to eliminate many human beings, to push them into the business of sickness, and to allow the money machine to evolve and to continue. And we are also playing around with the environment. The environment is not necessarily in jeopardy, yet we are using it as an agenda to drive new plans, new ideas, changes to our planet that no large part of the population has agreed to or even knows what's going on. There are many things happening behind the scenes that would shock the world. Weapons beyond imagination, weather warfare beyond imagination, the unimaginable things that are happening that are hidden behind the veil, behind the cloak. We are no longer in a world that is even close to being wholesome and well. And I would expect, and you would expect, and everyone would expect that as we transition into our next year, into 2025, times are going to become very, very difficult. The amount of taxes we pay now is exorbitant, yet hidden. We hardly even notice that more than half of our paycheck that we receive is gone in taxes, and it is going to continue to climb to a point where we will end up being at a minimum a socialist environment, and which will, in this United States, be very difficult to accept. And this will also congeal with the world forums that are pushing for a new world order, a centralized government to govern the entire planet, a central banking system, which is essentially in place now. And it will bring, in my opinion, many good things to some disadvantaged countries, which will give them a much better opportunity to be fed and housed. Yet in the United States, we are going to feel the pain because we are so used to getting anything we want, everything we want, when we want it. That doesn't seem to matter to anybody. It's just normal. But as this one world government comes into place, the United States citizens, people that live in the United States, will begin to suffer greatly compared to what they're used to. And we are in the cycle. We are in the cycle. We are in the cycle, the 80-year cycle. I forget the name of the theory, but we are in a cycle that is going to be pushing us back into another war. History repeats itself. It's going to continue repeating itself. And we are on the verge of a very large scale world war. We've been playing with it. We've been staging it. We are right there on the cusp of that happening. We are going to be in the midst of great tribulation, great chaos, and we were all going to end up suffering regardless of whether we're in the war zone or part of that offense of war or defense of war. We will all be affected very greatly. The economy is going to crash. The economy, the dollar is going away. It's becoming hyperinflated. We are going to see some of the worst and craziest things ever coming. Yet, there is always hope, because all of us humans do have a choice. We do have choices. We do have the power of consciousness. We do have the power of creativity. If we can only learn to band together and create positive energy, goodness, help each other, all of those things in commune, we may not necessarily change the world, but we can change as much as we can. We can change the people around us. We can help with the change. All of the change that we create helps the global change. But we have to start with ourselves. We cannot allow the system. We cannot allow the system to rule over us. Yes, we are in it and very difficult to escape it. But from within is how we can create change. Just like with any country invasion, we want to initially start from within so that it's easier to defeat. We can use that in reverse. We can create from within to create change, positive change, without war, without fighting, without anger, without fault, without pointing out faults, and create a much better place, much better world, a much better outcome that is on track to become probably one of the worst in written human history. We've all seen the stories. We all know the stories. We've all heard of many great civilizations from the past that have risen to great heights and suddenly disappeared, destroyed themselves. And if we are not careful, we are going to be on the same path. We are going to end up just like them. So let us all do our part. Let us change ourselves. Let us work on ourselves. Let us grow as human beings. Let us create positivity and goodness and wealth in all levels of our existence, so we can become a much better whole, much better universe, much better cosmos. We must do our part. So there you have my intuitive rant. I really look forward to hearing what you guys might think about that. I was not trying to put out any dismal information. It was just something that was on my mind, and I just allowed it to flow through and just say what came through and what was on my mind. And there you have it. I would like to invite you to my website, my contact page, so that you can find a way that works best for you to reach out and contact me, and let's have a conversation about this stuff, because I would like to see how other people are feeling about this. And we can all learn from each other. I can learn from you. You can learn from me. And I think if we can bond together like I spoke of in the intuitive rant, then we can all have a better outcome in what is going to transpire on our planet. So I look forward to hearing from you. Go to my website, www.lifebymazak.com, LIFEBYMAZAK.com. And once again, find my contact page. Find what works for you. Reach out to me. You will hear from me many, many more times. I look forward to hearing from you. Stay strong and live your life.